Hello and welcome everyone to Astrology Talk Forecast. I'm Mallory Key, professional astrologer accredited with the American Federation of Astrologers, and I'm here to bring you the February forecast for 2025. I use the tropical astrology, zodiac wheel, and also the Placidius house system. And the purpose of this is to inform, bring awareness, and to clarify. And then on the first Wednesday of each month, I have a 45-minute class to help uh, actually give awareness, but it's giving people a space to find these aspects and the full moon, the new moon, and the planetary aspects in their chart personally. So that first Wednesday of the month is to offer space for you to personalize the astrological aspects by seeing how the celestial bodies are interacting with your natal planets and also the house placements in your birth chart. So this is purpose is to inform and bring a kind of a forecast for the weather, the energy of the, kind of zodiac. So thank you all for being on this call. Thank you, Cosmic Connections in Nashville, Tennessee, and their staff, and my teacher, Mr. Thomas Parsons. The outline for this evening is the new moon in Aquarius. I am going to talk about that even though it's in January, just because it happened at the 29th of January. We're still feeling that energy, kind of going into February. So Mercury is also conjunct Pluto during that time, and Uranus stations direct. Jupiter also stations direct, and we have a full moon in Leo, a new moon in Pisces, and we have Mars retrograde. So here is the Aquarius new moon for today, the 29th, when this is the forecast, which is the last Wednesday of each month for 20 minutes. So the new moon in Aquarius happened at 6:36 a.m. on January 29th, and that's Central Time. Please adjust for your time zone. And it's 6:23 a.m. for those of my friends in Nashville, where I'm located. And we have the sun and moon conjunct in Aquarius. Also, we have the Mercury rendezvous with Pluto. So these two are talking with each other as the moon is talking with the sun. So Pluto is god of the underworld. I do want to mention that right at the top. So Pluto is entered Aquarius full time. He'll be in there for 20 years or 19 plus years. And Mercury is god of the underworld. And so Mercury travels pretty quickly. It had wings on its feet in mythology, so it is you don't want to kill the messenger. So there is some communication, there's some information being brought out to the masses, and because Aquarius is the masses, it's the people, and it's also long distance. It's not just, it's all kinds of people in the humanitarian sign. So Pluto, god of the underworld, is bringing up some deep truths. Mercury's listening. Mercury's also giving that information out. So just notice what information that you realized on the day of the 29th and prior to that, because it's actually a couple of days prior to the 29th. So now it's already passed over Pluto. It's still in a very close orb. So that's a big information there in the news. So we also have this moon conjunct the sun, and that is the time of the new moon. This is time to plant seeds of intention. And I do want to say that it will trine Jupiter, so it's a wonderful time to definitely write down those things that you want, whether it's a new job, more money, relationship, do I need a new car and a dishwasher? Do I need some items where I just need to have a freshen up, money to spend on myself? So write down the intentions that you want while the moon is next to the sun. And we call that the dark moon. It's still, there, we just can't see it in the heavens. And it's also time to go in and really dive into what it is that you're wanting inside, and kind of do a check on that inner world of yourself. So see where 9 degrees of Aquarius falls in your own birth chart to know there will be a department of life for you personally that will be energized. And so not that everything else won't be, but it's just that that particular area in your chart will show, is it job? Is it relationship? Is it home? Is it, something in the house? Or so you want to, that's what we will discuss if you come on our call on the first Wednesday of each month. So we have the sun and moon trine to Jupiter. wonderful way to, and I'll show you that here. I know it's going to be kind of crowded with this particular chart, but Jupiter's at 11 degrees of Gemini, the communicator, data, it's gadgets, it's things, it's also information. And Mercury rules the sign of Gemini and also Virgo. So when we're talking about the mercurial Gemini, that means talking. That is even more so information coming out. And Jupiter expands wherever it lands. So this is the sun and the moon along applying towards, that means it's going towards the 11 degree of Jupiter. So this is a great new moon to write down those intentions and think about it. Now, if your intentions don't show up in the next cycle, just realize you're still working with the unconscious. You're working of changing a paradigm in your mind to open up. What does it look like if you, for example, were in that new job? What kind of people are you talking to? What are you wearing? You want to really use your imagination to construct how would it feel if I were already in that position? And that's why our imaginations are so important. We have been denied a lot of that because, we don't really emphasize that imagination is where it starts. And thinking about it before you go to bed and thinking about it when you wake up in the morning to get those brain waves, that theta, delta, alpha, kind of thing in brain waves is dealing with this as well. We also have the Venus conjunct Neptune during this time. This is a very interesting moment. There's a lot of conjunctions during this moon with these aspects here, not only with the trine, but we also have a trine with Saturn and Mars as well. So Venus is love, beauty, and money. She is about our security. She's also about relationships. So, and Neptune is that dreamy, no boundaries. I just want to enjoy. It's a spiritual healer. And it's also the arts, it's music, artistic endeavors. It's like going to the symphony, art museum, it's Hollywood, it's film, going to a movie, enjoying yourself. With Venus with Neptune, that's time to get out the popcorn and enjoy a movie or go out to some place that is very fun and can be creative. If you have an artistic, thing within you that's bubbling up, this is a great time to start exploring artistic within you, artistic parts of yourself. So I see this as a healing, self-care, go to a salt cave, a salt bath, reflexology, have a foot soak, things that really nurture yourself during this time. So Venus sextile Uranus is another one. Venus and somewhat Neptune is a little out of orb, but Uranus is right here. I don't have a circle around him, but 23 of Taurus. Now, Uranus and Taurus, that can be a little disruptive on the earth plane because Taurus is an earth sign and Uranus is sudden changes out of the blue and it's also airplane. So we could see some disruptions of air travel and we could see, and I am also even though this is recording after we had the class prior to what we realized happened. So blessings to the souls that perished in all the plane activity. It did happen, and it's very I just pause for a moment to bless those people, the families of those victims. So it's not victims are just perishing, but it's Uranus's sun changes electricity out of the blue, and it does rule the air travel. So we had Venus, though, sextiling that, which is offering a positive energy. However, Uranus in Taurus could be sun changes. It's also currency and money. So sun changes out of the blue, didn't see coming, and this is our security, and it can be cyber. So I do see that there's, love, beauty, money, since Uranus is in one of the signs that Venus rules. The other sign that Venus rules is Libra. So going on to Mars trining Saturn, here's Mars here, and it's trying to Saturn. It's going to be applying as Mars continues to retrograde, and we'll run into Saturn probably around that 18-degree point. So this is, I always look at Saturn and Mars as the father to the sun or grandfather to the sun. And Mars is wanting to go and do. It's about what we want in our life, but it's in a retrograde motion. in the sign of Cancer, a very intuitive sign. And Mars is about action and it's a fire sign. So it rules Aries, it's god of war. And so, I see it being a little more subdued and also going back at where there are projects that you put on the back burner and that you need to put them back out again and start working with those. And Saturn is like wanting to be in integrity and responsible and gives you structure and foundation. And so these two are maybe talking with each other in a positive way. It's also very intuitive that Saturn is in Pisces and Mars is in Cancer. Those are intuitive signs and very feeling signs. Not that those two are big on that. They're not really big on the feeling part, but yet they are in working with each other. Okay, so there may be some project that actually will come through fruition as Saturn is helping Mars and Mars is working with Saturn. So the next thing is Uranus going direct. Uranus, again, is that planet of sun change. It's rebellion. It rules Aquarius. And it's also wanting to be free and autonomous. So we have the Uranus going direct January 30th. That's still part of that, end of January going into February. And it starts at 23 degrees. So we have the 23 degrees stationing direct. It's going to stay at 23 degrees for quite a while. So it stays there till March 12th. So we are going to deal with a 23-degree point of Uranus and Taurus. So see where if there are planets or points in your chart, calling your ascendant or midheaven or IC or the seventh house descendant. Also, are there 23 degrees prominent in your chart? That's going to be really energized or hit with this Uranian energy for a while. So understand what that means for you personally and be aware. Astrology really brings us awareness. It's just a tool. It's not the end all be all, but it does allow us to have that observant kind of nature and see things from that observer rather than be the reactor. All right, so now that stays there till the 12th, and then we have that Jupiter. So Jupiter going direct, and excuse that last slide. Jupiter is the expansion planet. It's the one, and it went February 4th. This is from the other one. Do not just ignore that right there. But Jupiter is at 11 degrees of Gemini, and on February 4th, 2025 at 3:40 a.m. in the morning, it will station to go direct at 11 degrees. Now, Jupiter moves a little faster. It won't stay in there quite as long, but Gemini is a very communicative sign, communicative. It rules communication, thinking, data. It wants to talk. And so it's also short distance travel. It's siblings, anything with the siblings area. And so we do have Mercury right here, which is trying to Jupiter during this moment that it's going stationing direct. And so looking at, the expansion of that, see where that falls in your chart, 11 degrees of, where Jupiter is in Gemini. The full moon in Leo. This is a very passionate, fiery, creative, fun-loving sign. It rules the heart and it's ruled by the sun. So when you have, let's see where I can put myself. When you have this sun and moon opposing one another, it's shining a light. The sun is now we can see that moon in the sky. These are the two luminaries, the moon being the secondary, and it only gets its light from the sun, but we see it so bright in the heavens. So that 24 degrees will happen on February 12th at 7:54 p.m. Central Standard Time or Central Time. And then that is 7:42 p.m. for friends in Nashville. So the sun in Aquarius is the humanitarian, the rebel, the fight for freedom, equality. We signed our Constitution in the United States under the Pluto in Aquarius. And so this is a very big energy for the United States. And the moon in Leo is fire, passion, the heart. It's like creative, it's not like that artistic thing like Neptune, but it wants to create. And so it wants to play. and it reminds us to have fun in life. So have the party, enjoy yourself, find things that you bring you joy and fun loving time. So that is one thing to know. When you see these energies, you want to see where 24 degrees of Aquarius falls in your chart and 24 degrees of Leo falls, because that 180 degrees here is a big moment that you will feel and see. And that's, the new moon also causes, people to feel emotional or feel that dynamic energy. When there's the full moon, you always hear doctors and nurses and teachers, fire people, firemen and firewomen, that they feel it and know that it's a little more active on the full moon. So this full moon is going to be not far away from Mercury still. So Mercury and the sun will be opposing the moon. The moon will be opposing the sun and Mercury. So there is some information. Now, an opposition brings a little more tension. There is tension and a lot of weight when there's a conjunction. There's also tension when there's a full moon 180 degrees. So it's two different energies, it's two different elements. You're dealing with fire and air, which works. You have to have air to have fire. So it's just going to be a very dynamic, bringing up Aquarian energy and Leo energy, which is ruled by the sun. Something could be brought to light. There could be a lot of illumination brought on the February 12th. Could bring a lot of tension, especially with that Mercury there. And also, the moon is emotional body. It's the female energy, while the sun can tend to be more masculine. Or you can look at the moon as the unconscious and the sun as the conscious. So there could be things brought out into the open. So just be aware of that tension in that moment. So the next thing that happens with this Leo full moon is Mercury conjunct the sun, as we talked about. And we also talked about moon opposed Mercury. We have all square to Uranus, the moon sun. Now, this is what's going to cause some tension and frustration and anxiety. So we have the full moon also, let's see, I do want to say that, but I'm trying to find Mr. Uranus here. So Uranus, if we look at right there, I've got so many aspects happening on that day, but the sun and Mercury skews all the lines and everything, but we have the moon and yeah, it's 24. It's very close, y'all. This is going to cause some really dynamic situation on the 12th. Just be prepared, as it's going to be coming towards that prior to the day of the full moon. So you want to notice what happens on the 10th, 11th, and 12th as that sun is applying, even toward the night. So this is energy that could be sudden breaks, sudden things out of the blue that come your way you weren't expecting. And given that we're dealing with Uranus, airplanes, air travel again, communications, there could be a lot of tension and frustration. And the moon in mundane astrology is the people. So I do see, and I didn't draw a line there, but the moon at 24 degrees here, it kind of gives that, it's a T square between those, because they're squaring and with the sun and Mercury, and then the moon is squaring at the same time. So I would be prepared, just be a little more cognizant, aware, follow your intuitive, ability, go in and make sure you're following. If you need to take a left at a stop sign and you don't know why, take the left. Or take the right. If you're being called, if you are on the interstate and all of a sudden something's telling me to get off, just follow it, especially that week of leading up to the full moon and then at least 4 days after. So Mars will trine Saturn again. That's a nice flowing energy. It's action. It's like being responsible, though, because Mars is Saturn is helping Mars to be in alignment, to do what it wants, but do it in a way that it works. So, and it works for that, works for Mars, and it works for all around Mars. I did put in there the Black Moon Lilith square to Pluto. So Black Moon Lilith in mythology was not treated very well, just a short version in mythology. She came back with a lot of a vengeance. But if we use a little bit of her, that's enough. Just a element if you're needing to stand up for yourself, or if there's a female not being treated well, to help be an advocate or, fight for the underdog. She will, just an ounce of her will be enough. So, but Pluto is god of the underworld. So I really am curious what these two, fighting, not necessarily fighting, but she did bring out her sword and her abilities in mythology to fight for the female. Okay, so that's going to be an interesting moment. But we have that Leo, fire, and Aquarius, air, wanting to do action and then also communicate, social communication, dynamic and for the people. All right, here's the new moon in Pisces happening at the end of February. It's February 12th, 2025 at 6:44 p.m. And it is 6:32 p.m. for here in Nashville, Tennessee. So it's interesting that we had that other new moon at the end of January 29th at 9 degrees. Well, we have the new moon again at 9 degrees, but it's in Pisces. So Pisces is not like Aquarius. Aquarius is air, it's the humanitarian for all people. Pisces is it's more feeling, it's emotions, it's artistic, it's ruled by Neptune. So that again, and it's also a healer, a spiritual healer. So what is it, the dynamic of water, Neptune, 9 degrees, where does that fall in your own birth chart to know what area of your life might have it more energized? So notice that, and that's the time to also plant seeds again. And whatever wasn't before, trust that when you really set an intention and follow through with how it feels in your body and mind, what would it look like if you were doing or had that you were wanting, all for the highest good for yourself and others. All right, so let's see. I think the new moon in Pisces is square to Jupiter, so you don't want to overdo things here. So the new moon is at 9 degrees, and then Jupiter's at 12 degrees. It's applying towards Jupiter. This, of course, Jupiter is faster moving of all the outer planets, but this is moving towards Jupiter at 12 degrees and will go over that degree point. So you want to make sure when it's a square position, that could bring tension, frustration, and anxiety. And we're looking at that at the end of February. And so we have this Jupiter, which is the biggest planet in our solar system. It expands wherever it lands. It's still in that Gemini. It's moved over a degree during this new moon. So you just don't want to overdo. You don't want to, the shadow of Jupiter is that he overspent, overate, overworked. He overdid something, but the benevolent part of him wants to expand, wants you to have what you want on a platter and just, dream and ask for what you want. So this is going to be a little bit more like, okay, just don't overextend yourself. Okay. This is the masculine, feminine. This is the conscious, subconscious, male and female. Again, the emotional body. So with the moon and you're more, the sun is also your ego. So just keep yourself in check during this last part of February. Now, Mercury and Saturn sextile to Uranus, that's a positive energy. So Mercury is the messenger again. There's talking in a positive way to Uranus, the sky god, and also it's communicating over, technology. It's as we said, it's space travel. It's also your autonomy and freedom. So this is sextile, which is a positive, very potent positive aspect. Saturn will be more structural, as it applies towards this Uranian energy. Saturn is stability, structure, foundation. Uranus is going to be like, okay, I'm electricity. I'm sudden changes out of the blue. So there could be a positive thing though when they're in a sextile. Just it could be kind of deep and kind of, you know, very well seen. Now, Mars will also trine Saturn. So we still have that Mars trine Saturn. I didn't draw a circle there, but that's, 17. It's not quite there, but it still has some of that energy there. And it is applying now that Mars is direct. Okay, so Mars went direct. And so now Mars is going to be applying to, because Mars moves quicker than Saturn, to that dynamic grandfather to grandson kind of energy. So that's a positive. Go for what you want and do it with integrity, responsibility, and for your highest good of all. All right, so here was that Mars direct again. It began its retrograde in Leo December 5th. It returned to Cancer January 6th, and it goes direct February 23rd. So it was already starting about direct when it's going to go into another trine to Saturn. All right. Thank you for watching. There's a lot I could cover. These were just kind of the main highlights. There's probably so many things I could have said. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you on the 5th of February 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. to 7:45 to help you see how to locate these aspects in your own chart. And I'm here to guide and help you look for those and find that for yourself so you can learn some more about astrology. All right, Mallory Key Astrology, and blessings, and just be aware and look to love and joy and the higher vibrations. All right, bye-bye.